Are you a book reader? If so, you may enjoy today's topic. I read something recently that said we are what we read, and that the books we read tell us more about us than the colour of our eyes or our haircut, and that's very possibly true. Over the years I've read hundreds of books. I've always been a reader. I have been since I was a little boy. I probably read between 50 and 60 books a year. My mum was an avid reader and she had me reading before I even went to school. What kinds of books do you like? Are you a fiction or a non-fiction reader? Who's your favourite author and why? Let me know down below, and if you could hit that button as well, I'd be most pleased. I love to read positive mental attitude books, autobiographies and biographies. I love a factual book. Don't get me wrong, I like fiction too. I'm a big David Baldacci fan and I've read many of his books. To be fair, I read varied genres of fiction as well as non-fiction. I've found so often that reading a book that I've already seen as a film always makes me enjoy it more. And usually if I've read the book first and then see the film is usually so disappointing. Books are always so much more in depth. Do you feel the same? Is that the same for you? Let me know down below. And if you haven't done it yet, why not join our little band of brothers and sisters by hitting that subscribe button. We may be small at the moment, but my aim is to get to 1,000 in the not too distant future. As much as I love a good tale, I'm always seem to be going back to those non-fiction books. I'm intrigued by real people and their stories. I love to see how people have made something of their lives. I love it when I read something in someone's story that makes me realise that I can put that idea into good use too. I enjoy reading about people who, when faced with adversity, keep going and tell me what they did to overcome it. I love reading things that make me see the world differently, that show me ways to overcome situations in my own life. I love to read stories about music, stories about musicians, decades and styles of music. I love books that give me stories behind the songs. I learn so much when I'm reading. I love that when I open a book, I enter a completely different world. I've got friends who've never read a book and I can't understand why. They don't know what they're missing. After all, there's not much point learning to read if you don't. In our house, all three of us devour books. We're always reading something or other. I have books in my office, downstairs in the living room, and also by my bedside. It's not uncommon for me to be reading 3 books alongside each other. The editorial I read that brought this video to mind talked about how he started to change his profile picture on Facebook to a book face picture with a quote from the book alongside it. I liked that idea, so I did it for a time as well. Sadly, it didn't encourage others to stimulate conversation, but it did lead me to a Facebook book club. I love finding out what others read. Leave your book recommendations below and I'll check them out. And if you click up there, I'll tell you why I can't give up my notepads.